WarGames, and it makes its main roster WWE debut at this year's Survivor Series. Are there any particular WarGames matches that stand out for you, or were you just not really paying attention when you were in WCW at the time?
Well, not really, because the war game to me is a cluster F. To tell you the truth, they're hard to lay out. They're hard to interest the fans in it, and after a while, they lose their uniqueness if you do it too much. And I think if you try to make war games like the facade of a pay-per-view, I don't think it'll do that well. You don't have unless maybe you put your hottest angles together and threw them in a cage, but then you're throwing them into one match. What are you going to stock the undercard with? So I never liked the idea of the when it first came out, it was good, but then it was a little more and a little more and a little more. And at some point, the fans just say, hey, that's just too much. And for me, as a fan, I said the same thing, even though it was to my benefit that they do well, but I could see it that the interest wasn't there.
We've seen this in WarGames. We've seen this more lately with Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank and Hell in a Cell. If you have it annually, apart from the Rumble, which is a great idea, but if you have all these cage matches annually, or even more, man, it really seems to work for a couple of years, and then interest just seems to just plummet. And then
well, after they've seen it, they've seen it. What are you going to do? All of a sudden, take it away from them? Just like, hey, like a jury, say, oh, just disregard the last testimony you had. That didn't happen. But they don't do that. But see, what you got to do, and I think WWE, and I haven't questioned anything that Triple H has done till I saw an article today, and it was the same thing that I was thinking. I was thinking that
Dusty Rhodes. Which of the concepts of Dusty Rhodes do you remember he came up with that you actually thought was really good? Was it WarGames? Was it something, a character, a match?
WrestleCade or Starrcade. That's what it was. Starrcade. Because that became an annual event, and that was WCW's WrestleMania. That became their WrestleMania.
It was pre-WrestleMania, in fact. So Vince stole from Dusty in a sense.
I don't think so. You think that WrestleMania? When was the first WrestleMania? 83.
First WrestleMania was 85. Starrcade, I think, was 83. I'll double check, but I'll promise you.
I think that Dusty left Florida in 84. And then I don't think WrestleCade come to 85.
Here we go. Starrcade number 1, 1983. And the first one was a Flair for the Gold, and that was Harley Race versus Ric Flair in the cage, I believe. So that was Ric Flair's second. Was it his second one? His second NWA World title win.
Anyway, it was sometime in that time period. But Starrcade did eventually or end up as the WrestleMania of WCW. And it's a good show. And now they used to have big shows in Charlotte. Sometimes they would do, like on Saturdays and Sundays, they would do double headers. They would do Charlotte at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And everybody that was on early ran to the car and hopped in. Then they would go somewhere to Greensboro. And they'd have the big show. Then somewhere on Sunday, it'd be Greenville, South Carolina. Then they'd hop in the car and they'd go to Asheville. They would do 2 WrestleCades in 2 different towns with basically the same card. So those guys, a lot of people don't know that, people in WWE talking about how much they travel and how much they work. Guys, when I started, worked 300 days a year, at least 300 days a year. And some of those days were double header days. So, and some of those old timers, that's why they paced themselves, because hell, they was working the hell out of them. You made pretty good money, but I think the most I worked in 1 week, I was in Continental in Alabama, and they had it was like a tournament every night for 7 nights. and I wrestled 3 times every night. I wrestled 21 times that week because it was the same lineup every town, and it was 3 matches every, and maybe a TV appearance in there too. So it could have been 22. That's a lot of getting in the ring, buddy. I should have been paid. I should have been paid by the hour.
Shame they didn't pay for your trans.
No, they never paid that.
Yeah.